Welcome to Voting Bootcamp. My name is Don Odom Jr., Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church Social Justice Ministry leader, and we are getting you in shape, both mentally and spiritually, to vote. Obstacles have been placed in our way, but we will vote, and we will vote early starting Tuesday, October 13th. With us today is Sister Pam Gaskin of the League of Women Voters, longtime voting rights activist, and today she's going to get us in fit voting condition. She's going to show us how to download and to fill out your sample ballot. How are you, Sister Pam?
I'm doing great, Ray. How are you?
Doing well.
I'm
So
just
first,
excited. I'm excited as the day is almost here.
amen, amen, right around the corner, right? So let's talk about the value of having a sample ballot filled out, whether it's for doing a mail-in ballot or for bringing it into the polls.
The value of a sample ballot is that this is the tool that's going to help you be prepared to vote. It's one thing to go to the polls and just vote. It's another thing to go to the polls and know who you're voting for and why you're voting for them. So one of the other things that the League of Women Voters has always been a leader in is voter education. And we believe that an informed voter is the best voter.
Yes.
So we have several tools that you can use to help you be an informed voter. So the sample ballot is one, and then you take that sample ballot, go use one of our tools where you can look at your different, you can look at all of your different races, and you can actually take that ballot that you printed out and you can mark it as you click through the races. That way you can then take that sample ballot with you to the poll. You can actually take that into the voting booth with you. So that's a great tool to have, especially when we've got a pretty long ballot. Harris County has a long ballot, and so does Fort Bend County, as a matter of fact. And you just can't remember, everything. And we have to vote the entire ballot. Remember, there is no straight ticket, straight party voting this year. You have to vote in every election on the ballot. And remember, the races at the bottom for your municipal races, like Pearland has a mayor's race and city council. Missouri City has mayor's race and city council. Those are the people who are going to be affecting your everyday life. I mean, they're going to decide about your trash pickup and all that good stuff. So you really need to educate yourself and vote in those races. So vote every race.
And I was just about to, I'm glad you brought that up because, obviously we want to vote for president. People want to vote for senators, and there's a lot on the line when it comes to that. But when it comes to down ballot voting, the people that decide whether something goes to a grand jury, the people that decide, if you look at this election season, all of these decisions are being made by people that were elected down ballot.
That's right. Your Harris County district attorney is on the race. This is the district attorney is the person who decides whether to bring charges against somebody. Right. They're the ones that take things to the grand jury. So you're going to vote for a district attorney. I think there's a sheriff. Is the sheriff up for election this year? I know the sheriff in Fort Bend County is up for election. So, there are a lot of very significant races and, judges. There are lots of judges.
Of course, yes.
And these are the folks who decide sometimes if a defendant chooses to do a bench trial, the judge is the sole judge and jury. And then they make the decision on whether they're going to go to jail, whether they're going to get probation. So you need to pay attention to these races.
So let's talk about what the League of Women Voters does. So every election, you guys are nonpartisan, and
Right.
so you with equity send out a questionnaire to
Mm-hmm.
each candidate and give them
Yes.
the opportunity to answer those questions. And so how does that become a final product? And we're going to look at it in a second, but what is the process that you guys go through to provide this as a tool for voters to use?
Once the political parties have decided who's going to be on the ballot in the fall, in the general election, we compile questions, and the questions are per race. So you're not going to ask a judge. You may ask a judge, how are you going to manage, dockets, or you, things about their judicial temperament. You may ask. For a mayor, you may ask, what are the three most pressing issues and facing your city that you need to address? We ask the same questions to each candidate in the same race. So we don't ask the Republican one question and the Democrat another. They both get the same. They both have the same time to respond to us in writing. What a lot of people, I like to remind people, sometimes you will see misspelled words, you will see run on sentences, you may see poor punctuation. We print it just like they send it in. We do not edit it. It is there. We're not trying to change a thing. So if they didn't proofread it, we're not going to proofread it for them. We're going to print it just like they sent it. That's a part of being fair and equitable to
Well,
all.
and there's a value in that. I know we had a conversation offline. You were telling me about the people that were running for election board. Someone was running, and their grammar and punctuation was not.
Oh, yes. Several years ago, we had someone who was running for the State Board of Education. And my goodness, she didn't spell children correctly. And she didn't spell it correctly 3 times. And so we,
That's something that we
we
should
just
know
kind
as
of had
voters, right?
we had a laugh about that. And we said, well, we're going to print it just like she sent it in. So I guess people can decide it. And I, as I recall, she did not get elected. And I'm not sure that it was because of that. But
But no,
the other
I
thing,
think it's an
some
amazing tool.
and some people choose not to respond to us, and
I think one of the
that's
presidential candidates chose not to respond. If
hmm.
memory serves, I think one of the presidential candidates chose not to respond. If
But we
memory
always have
serves,
several who choose not to respond, and you
yeah.
can look at that, and you make a decision. Do you want to elect someone who will carefully take the time to respond to you, and let you know where they stand on critical issues? And if they don't respond to you, does that tell you how they might
What
handle
does that say? And conversely,
how they're going to conduct their business?
yeah,
So,
conversely, it's clear that there are some people that really took time, or they really
yes.
had someone help them take time to fill these things out. So why don't we take a look? If you wanted to kind of give
Okay.
us an idea, the first thing that we were talking about was, was the sample ballot. So um, maybe we could start there.
Harris votes. So we're going to do Harris County. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So there is the
I like
Harris
that.
County screen, and you want to go to sample ballot. Can you see that?
I can.
Okay. And I want to put in, let's see. I'm gonna use the last name Odom and see if I can come up with something here. Odom, and let me see. I'm gonna do a house number that I know. Street name. South McGregor Way. And let me search and see. Sample ballot. Okay. Do I need to make my screen full? Can you see the whole sample ballot?
I can see it. I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's a sample ballot for Harris County Precinct 228. And if you can see,
Correct.
Um,
That is the precinct of the church. That is the precinct of the surrounding Wheeler Avenue Baptist
right,
Church.
right.
And
And you can see it starts off with the candidates for president. Then you've got the candidates for senator, uh, United States representative. Um, Sheila Jackson Lee represents that area now. Railroad commissioner, and it goes on down. You got a pretty healthy ballot here. On page 2, you've got your county tax assessor, your county attorney, and county school trustee. Okay, so those are the races that are on this ballot.
and so interestingly, we don't have any propositions, it seems like, this election.
No, you don't. No, we have some in Missouri City, but you don't have any here. So nobody's asking for any bond money this time. So that's a good thing.
Okay.
But you see all these district judges.
Correct.
And this
So
can
the
be
ballot,
overwhelming for somebody if you're not
yes.
prepared.
And so to
Okay.
that point, what I was going to say is that, you know, walking into if you're really both, but if you're walking into the poll and trying to vote, you know, it can be overwhelming at times. And so that's why we're going through this exercise. So we
Right.
have our sample ballot.
Yep. So now
And
we printed out our sample ballot and we've got it on our desk.
correct.
And then we're going to go to vote411.org. And we want to know what's on our ballot. Okay. So to get started, you put in the address. I'm going to use the same address. And Texas. Okay, and what is that zip code over there? 77004?
77021.
Okay.
021.
All righty. And we're going to submit. And you're going to scroll down and it's going to say, we're going to do this in English. And we're going to go to my races. So
55 races. 55.
I'm going to make that big so I can see it. Okay, so the first race, you got everything from president down to, you see all those judges?
Yes.
And Harris County Commissioner and Constable Precinct number 7. So these are all the things you're going to be voting on.
So we'll go through and
where do you want to start? You want to start with
start
president?
at the top. There, let's.
Okay.
We're going to go ahead and so the good thing about this is we don't necessarily have to fill them all out, but we're going to go through and do one in earnest so that we can see what the process looks like. And then
now what this tells you is that there are 55 races on your ballot. Okay. And the first one is for U.S. president. The League of Women Voters believes that you should be educated, so we're going to give you a civics lesson.
And this is pretty much everything this is stuff that you wouldn't even necessarily know.
Okay, so this is what the president does. The term is for how long? It's a 4-year term. He can only be re-elected once. How much he makes. Mm-hmm. And then we make a note that how people show up on this ballot. Okay, then here it is in Spanish. Mm-hmm. So you have the candidates, and if you want to know more about them, so we've got.
Can't you compare two candidates as well?
Yes, you can. Yeah. Yes, you can. It says click a candidate to find more information. To compare two candidates, click the compare button. So now, all these other people are running for president. They filed to run. This person is a bunch of write-ins. So we're really looking at, don't throw your, well, let me not say that. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do with their vote. But we have two principal
Highly
candidates.
consider the value
Yes,
of your vote.
yes,
Unless you're not, unless you're a family member.
yeah, your vote is valuable.
Yes.
So you've got Joe Biden, which we've selected, and we want to compare to Donald Trump. Okay. So here, and you just scroll down, you don't have to do anything else. You get biographical information, you get where you can go to look at them, you got mailing addresses. And wow, look at this. Joe Biden, the first question, what actions would you take to balance public health and economic recovery in the US, both in light of COVID-19 and for the long term? This is a question that we're probably all pretty interested in hearing.
It's a fair question.
What our candidate would say.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden responded. Donald Trump did not respond. Second question, what is the most important issue facing our country, and how do you plan to address it during your first 100 days in office? Joe Biden.
And these are, I mean, and this isn't, he didn't just write something, seems like, or someone helped him write. He chose to really give a detailed answer, which I think is
yes.
It's something to consider as you're using it. We're not trying to tell anybody how to vote.
That's right.
But it's just, this is the value of the tool. It gives you an opportunity to see, how serious a candidate is or is not about
That's
responding
right.
to something that has been a key voting tool for a lot of people. So it would behoove candidates, future candidates, to consider taking the questions seriously that come from League of Women Voters. So
and
in this case,
here's one that I think would be of importance to the parishioners at Wheeler Avenue. How will you address racial injustice in our country on day one of your administration? Here's another one. What aspects of our current immigration policy will your administration address first? What will you do over the long term to ensure access to quality health care for all? Okay, so you see, so we're gonna, so you select a candidate. So
this is for the exercise. We're just gonna go ahead and select that one.
All right.
Okay.
And then we go to the next race, which is U.S. Senator. Okay. And it automatically takes you to the next race. And again, here's what a senator does. Here's how long they're voted in. Here's how much they make. And remember, when you see how much these people make, these are your tax dollars.
Right.
So, and here are all the people who are running. You have a Republican, a Democrat, a Libertarian, that's what the L stands for, and GRN is the Green Party. So let's just say we have
he has a mask on.
We're going to compare MJ Hagar, and we're going to compare John Cornyn. And you see here that both candidates answered all the questions. So first of all, that's a good thing. Then you have to read the questions and see which one has answers that most reflect what you want to do. So,
and that also gives you a chance to compare what their previous stances were, for example. So if are they just telling us what we want to hear to get elected this cycle? Did they always support healthcare? Did they always support pre-existing conditions, for example? But this is just, it's a tool. It's something to give you an opportunity that we didn't have. But
as you can see, the questions for each race are different. They're asking these candidates for United States Senator about recommendations to protect students from gun violence. COVID-19, they've got a question on that. Voting rights. What actions, if any, would you take to ensure that all eligible voters have equal access to safe and fair elections. So, one candidate kind of says, well, it's pretty good the way it is now. And the other one actually talks about voter suppression. So, you know, um, so you can, so we're going to select a candidate of the opposite party this time because we're going to be fair and balanced. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to go up. Oh, and you know what? The other thing you can do, there are candidate debate videos that you can look at.
I saw that when I was looking on there.
So all kinds of things. So the next is for railroad commissioner. And, we can go to save time. Let's look at a judicial race. And let's come and bring it to not a Board of Appeals, but here's State Board of Education. They're back on. I hope everybody spelled right there. Court of Appeals. The other thing I like because you can see people's pictures.
Yes, I was gonna mention that. Just to get, and I think that it is important to recognize diversity, just to figure out who's on the ballot. And I think it's a very valuable tool also in a primary. So we're in a general election. And so if you have a party affiliation, then there's not as much kind of decision making to be had per se, but definitely in a primary, when you're looking at 4 to 5. I remember in the Senate race we had, I think, 12 candidates. To have a picture and to be able to go through, this is a very, very valuable tool. So
yeah. And so here's a race. This is for Harris County. It's a district judge, civil. Tells you what the district civil courts do. They involve title to land, election contests, civil matters in which the amount of money is $200 or more, and any matters that are not in another trial court. And these are trial judges. In this case, you have a Republican and a Democrat. Frederica Phillips is an incumbent. You can see she is a judge. And it says here, and they both talk about what their approach would be. So here you go. Just and see the question, how different the questions are. Docket management, impartiality, which is very important for a judge. Discovery process. How will you ensure that attorneys and litigants do not abuse the discovery process?
Good question.
So, and what training, experience, and background make you the best qualified candidate for this office? So
it seems like the incumbent is on the right side. That's what I think the pattern that I'm seeing is that the incumbent is on the right side of.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't work on this year, so or it may be. No,
it's very easy. It's very easy to follow, though. It's very easy. It seems like a lot. I know it seems like there are a lot of races, but once you start, it kicks you right to the next race.
That's right. So if you decide you want to vote for Frederica Phillips, then you select this candidate and you mark an X on your sample ballot by her name. So you have done that, and then you go to the next race.
So let's, if we can, let's see what the sheriff race looks like, and then Harris County Sheriff. So to be clear, this is an exercise that we're doing to show us how to do it. All races are important, so we wouldn't be skipping races, but we're just kind of walking through the process to take a look so that we can print our sample ballots. So to the point that we were making before, clearly, this is an important race for all of the reasons that have been described. Whenever there is civil unrest, or if there is a an important circumstance that happens in the city, there's just a huge gulf between the response of how it could be for one candidate and the next,
That's right.
depending on their points of view.
Well, here we have the incumbent, who is Ed Gonzalez. He's your current sheriff in Harris County, and he's being opposed by Joe Dana, who's a Republican. And you can see their education background. You can see their campaign information, and that's you've got a lot of good information there. Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, the incumbent mayor has a master's in liberal
Right.
arts and international studies, and he has a Bachelor of Science in criminal justice.
He has an associate's degree.
His opponent went to Sam Houston High School and Houston Community College and the Northeast College Police Academy. So, you make of that what you will.
These are important questions.
But these are important questions. What community outreach and officer training programs will you use? Use of force policy. What policies and practices? So you read that.
Keeping people in jail during COVID is an important question as well.
Well, I mean, you know what? We all have. Each one of us has something that
moves us.
That moves us in a certain race. And inmate health and safety. Just what you were talking about. What is the role of the sheriff in keeping the jail population safe? Okay, especially during public health emergencies. What training, experience, and background make you the best qualified candidate? So
and so in this circumstance, his answer at the bottom, it can go both ways.
Yeah.
You can examine what is there another situation that would be more under fire than what we've dealt with in the last 6 to 9 months, and how can he answer for that? Good. Okay, so let us go to, we'll select this candidate, and then we're going to assume that we've filled out the whole thing. And so we'll go to view my races, or wait, yes, and then
finish. We'll do finish.
We'll finish. There you go.
Yeah. Now we didn't do everything, but you're going to do everything when you do this.
Correct.
We're going to do finish, and then what it's going to ask you to do is put in your phone number or your email, or both. If you put in your phone number, they're going to send you a text message. So make sure it's a.
Can you send that to socialjustice@wheelerbc.org?
Yeah. What phone number you want me to use?
Do you have to use both?
No.
Or can we do the email?
You want to do it? Okay.
Let's do socialjustice@wheelerbc.org.
Okay. And we're going to say send, and they have sent an email.
Got it.
And very shortly, you should get an email that's going to have, and hey, if you want to let people know who you're voting for, you can share it on, you can print it out, you can email it to them, you can put it on Facebook, or you can tweet it out. So,
I mean, I think, that it could be that you want to let people see that, per se.
Yeah.
And it is.
And here's our disclaimer. All above responses come directly from the candidates and are unedited by League of Women Voters. The League does not support or oppose any candidate or party.
Got it. So if you can go back to the social media share down, just to show that real quick, it may not be that you want to necessarily put it on Facebook or Twitter, but you can if you want to. But you can print it. You
Or
can
you can
and
email it to
or you can
people.
email it to your family. Like you can
It
email it
says
to your
email
daughter.
family
You
and
can
friends.
email it to your your grandfather. You can email it to your aunt. You can email your choices,
Hmm.
just to both give them an idea, if they need some guidance, or kind of introduce them to this process.
That's
So
right.
if you could stop share real quick, I'm going to share mine to show that I have already received that. And so they have sent me my customized ballot.
Hmm. And the ones in bold
Right. So
are
so we would have selected the ones that we did select. We're going to have
they're in
highlight,
bold. Hmm.
and so this will give us something to take, and we can use that basically to show as our guide, both to fill out. So the suggestion is to take that to fill out the sample ballot,
That's correct.
and then we're going to take the sample ballot either with us into the voting booth,
Hmm.
or we're going to fill out the sample ballot and then we're going to fill out the mail-in ballot.
Very
So
good.
perfect. So thank you for this. So we have got in fit voting condition about how to fill out your sample ballot. Thank you to Sister Pam. Um, we thank you for your passion and everything that you do to ensure that voting is made fair for everyone. And so we will have you back to talk about some more topics. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. And happy voting.